This is the biggest fall from grace since Spurs convinced us this time was different. And I know some of you around here are probably still feeling highly emotional from the game last night. Or yesterday afternoon, should I say. And I'd love to offer you some words of consolation in this video. So, obviously the video that I posted yesterday was a bit of an outburst after the game. No less because of the actual game itself, but other mistakes that this club is riddled with, which we'll touch on. So I thought I'd add a little bit of humour into your day to brighten it up a little bit. So of course I had a twist on the matchday vlog for you. And in this video we're going to be breaking down the game yesterday, debriefing it and trying to, detach emotionally from what's been going on around the club and swirling around over the last 24 hours to really unpack where do we go from here, what's the situation, and obviously the headline news today is it Frank in or is it Frank out? So obviously we're going to touch on that, given that my first video was all about Frank in, and I had to even go back and watch it back and remind myself of the reasons I gave of why he should be remaining as manager. And before we dive into all of that, I just wanted to say thank you so much for all of you who have been joining us on this roller coaster. I am emotionally drained already, and it has only been 9 days doing this type of content. And this was supposed to be, a little bit of a side project, a little bit of fun. But I guess I'm learning as a content creator, which is, quote unquote, now what this is. You kind of have to learn how to detach even more than if you weren't doing this kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm hoping that I can share some different perspectives today. And look, the day didn't start well. We knew the day was doomed. The minute that Man City, Man United whistle went for that game, we knew it was over. United had their manager bounce, City dropped points, Arsenal run away with it, and we're all thinking, we really have to get these 3 points today. We really need to go for it. And skip forward after the game, which we all know that we lost in a terribly dramatic manner, that we can't even be happy about the fact that our arch rivals in North London dropped points. We can't even be happy about it. There used to be a time where we could gloat in the fact and have the joy of Arsenal dropping points. That is simply not the case anymore, because they drop points to a Nottingham Forest who are only a few points off us now, fighting their own relegation battle. So by them gaining a point, we now put ourselves even further into that relegation battle after that loss. So it was a depressing day all round, and the state of this club it's not looking good. And before the game, we saw the team line up on the Spurs app, which I've been banging on about in that video, and I also showed it in my matchday vlog as well. But the reason why, for me, that was such a glaring mistake and a glaring error, it was just such misjudgment from the person that posted that. They must have, and look, I'm going to start with this because internally at Spurs, they must have a process to get content approved on the app, right? Normally in businesses, you have a media team, a communications team, a social media team, a marketing team who submit stuff for approval, which then gets put on the app. So I fail to believe that this was a mistake. I can't believe it. I cannot accept that level of incompetence was a genuine mishap. Those things don't happen being a genuine mistake. Excuse me, it doesn't happen. Someone would have seen it. And what with that happening and the matchday squad being leaked 2 days before the game, there is something going on behind the scenes, even far beyond what we've already spoken about. This club is littered with mistakes. From the lack of milk and sugar at a game day, to getting the players in the right team shirt on the app, to having Vinay write his letter to all the fans and misreading the room. The failure to sign players when you know they need them. To double down and back your manager. We haven't seen any of it. There's mistakes on the pitch, left, right, wherever you look. And it doesn't matter how many times you get that clipboard out and how many times you move those little pegs on that board. Okay, all the players, they are professional players. And I fail to believe that they are truly performing at their peak right now. They're not. How can they be performing at their peak? I just don't see it. I can't see it. And it's incredibly frustrating because on the one hand, I feel for Frank. I do. I feel for him because whoever has sat in the hot seat, as I've said before, time and time again, he is the scapegoat. He being the manager. So this is where we're going to begin. It's already been 5 minutes, but just a shout out to say, please do like, subscribe if you're new around here. If you're joining the roller coaster that is Tottenham Hotspur. We've, it's only been just over a week, but we are growing nice and steadily. So come and join our trials and tribulations and to share the joys when there are some at Tottenham. And I hope to share some of those in the near future. But when I was thinking about how am I going to start this video, I thought to myself, I actually don't know. And that's the worst thing about all of this. You are scraping the bottom of the barrel. You cannot beat West Ham, who have not won since the beginning of November. I mean, is this real? Is this real life? Because this, to me, feels like deja vu. And fans are very, very short-sighted about this. Some of us even have memory loss. Because if you remember, and I hate to keep going back to that guy who was our last manager. I hate to keep going back to him. But that's in recent times, and just the only guy that we can go back to who had exactly the same squad that is there now. You can't compare this situation to Poch. Because Poch left now 7 years ago. Poch left 7 years ago. That was a whole different era. Except for Ben Davies, the whole squad is different. It's not like for like. And this time last year, Ange came out and he said exactly the same thing. He called out the mole in the club. Yesterday, Frank goes on the press conference. He gets asked about the team being leaked 2 days before and he says it's not optimal. Where are your standards? The standards have dropped so far from grace, I swear. We have fallen so far. I don't know how we get out of it. So let's run the tapes forward. Let's run this forward. Because I can talk to you about the game. Look, we had a good header. Whoop-de-doo. Romero again. But there's no cohesion up front. There is absolutely zero creativity. And I said in my vlog yesterday that we've gone from one extreme to the other. We've gone from kamikaze football with what seemingly on the surface looked like there was no plan to over-planning. And whichever way you swing it, when you go to a complete extreme, you, I guess, kind of, what's the way I'm looking at? I'm saying this. When you go to either extreme, you kind of you lose that middle ground, right? You lose that middle ground. So what's happened is we've gone so far onto John the Pragmatist, as Ange would have called him, and we can revel in it, as he said. We've gone so far in that direction. I actually fear that we are now over-planning in games. Frank has admitted he is an overthinker. And so when you're an overthinker, you can over-plan every meticulous detail. And when you do that, you leave no room for a game to play out organically. And you lose the creativity of the players. Because if you're right, okay, let's imagine this. Someone's told you you need to go and deliver a parcel to this address, and you have to use the sat-nav. You can only take the route on the sat-nav, but you have to do it in 10 minutes. And the delay on the sat-nav is half an hour. You're never going to make it. And you know the route. You know that you can go around the back, and you know that you can cut through and you can make that journey in 10 minutes. But you've been told to use the sat-nav. And the sat-nav is having you sitting, waiting in traffic for 20 minutes. You're not going to be able to deliver the parcel on time. And so therefore you're going to fail your mission. And sometimes I think and I wonder, and Phil said the opposite to me yesterday. He said, well, these are all professional footballers. They should know what they should be doing. But maybe they've been instructed to perform in such a specific way that leaves no room for that flexibility. And as I said, we saw that in the game. Davis goes off. He brought something different to that team, right? Because he brought a different tactical style to the team. Because when you have a long ball throw in the game, then you increase your chances of scoring from a set piece, right? Or even a throw in, okay? Unfortunately, because he goes off, that element of the game goes out the window. And so the first throw-in that we have after he goes off, no one's calling for the ball, and it's not going to be a long ball because there's no one on the pitch who can provide that. The only other two players that we have are Danso and Bergvall, and both of them are sitting on the bench. And to make matters worse, Tottenham Hotspur are not the kind of team that want to be watching their team win by long throw-ins. That's not who we are. I do think that there is an element of changing styles that has happened in the Premier League over the last few seasons. I do believe that with Arsenal being the running contender and being so consistent over the past 4 seasons, that other teams in the league have looked at them and they have said, Arsenal, they're scoring a lot of goals from set pieces. We can just replicate that because we don't need to have any kind of game playing skill to do that, right? You just have to practice your long throws and get in certain positions, right? You don't have to be as creative on the ball as when it's from open play. And so you're seeing the league now being a lot more condensed in a way. You're seeing teams play in a bit more of a similar style because this season there's been more set piece goals than any other season historically, as far as I'm aware. So I think that's an element to the game that needs to be looked at. By the way, we've got chai tea today, and some of you pointed out that I don't have a Tottenham mug yet, or cup. I don't want to say mug here. A cup. I don't know if I want to be buying any merchandise, but yeah, I will look into that. So thank you for the suggestion. So by the 90-odd minute, right, we run the game forward by the 90-odd minute, and I'm telling you, look, Gallagher got that knock in the first 20 seconds, and who was it that went down towards the end? Was it Xavi? Yeah, well, Gallagher's not going to be able to be named in the squad tomorrow, and I wouldn't be surprised if someone else is injured. We know Gray got a knock, so yeah, Tuesday's going to be hectic, but we'll dive into that tomorrow. And unfortunately, I'm going to the game, but what am I doing to myself? Going to the game on Tuesday. I've already looked online. The seats are all empty. Anyway, fast forward it forward. 92 minutes. The boos keep on coming. Tell went off, and the boos had already started. The boos were in that stadium. I've been to a lot of games. I went to the games when Ange was being pushed out by the fans. I went to all of those games. But yesterday was something else. It truly, truly was. The calls for you're getting sacked in the morning at 93 minutes. I've never heard anything like it. You can see it on the vlog. It's towards the end of the vlog. The droves of people leaving before the end of the game. I mean, look, I started this channel because I wanted to show perhaps a different perspective of people, you know, what people are like at game day and what the atmosphere is like. And that is the honest truth. That's what it's like at Spurs these days. And so it transpires that the conversation after the game is Nuno, no less, is the guy to come and beat us at Tottenham Hotspur, and the conversation turns to Frank and whether he should be fired, as if this hasn't been a conversation ongoing since about November. Nothing has changed. The only thing that has changed is we've had Brennan Johnson out. And we've had sorry, my phone went. We had Brennan Johnson out and we had Gallagher come in. Okay, those have been like the headlines, right? And even if we look at this in a little bit more detail, even if we dive into this in a little bit more detail, you know, we've got rid of Ajayi. He's just gone to Bromley. Yang sent to Coventry. Donnelly sent to Oxford United. Solomon, Fiorentina. Takai, he's gone. Abbott went to Wickham. I mean, oh no, that was back in October. But even still, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 first team player and 5 youth, all out on loan. So, yes, these players need game time, but in a period where we are so thin on the ground. I mean, Ange last year, he was playing these guys in the Europa. And yes, Champions League is not Europa, but you need bodies. You need rotation. As I've said it before, your players are going to burn out. And if you don't have the rotation, you're burning the candle at both ends. You're not going to compete in the Premier League and you're not going to compete in Champions League. And we already know you're not going to compete in the other cups because we're already out of those. What a sad state of affairs we are. So, conversation leads to Frank. Is he going to leave? Are they going to sack him? I don't think they are. I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to keep him until the end of the season. Unless the next 5 games are done. We already know that February is a write-off where we're not picking up points. But we have 3 games coming up in a very, very tight schedule. What is it? Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday, Saturday. Is it Saturday we've got Burnley? I think it doesn't even matter at this point. But yeah, Saturday Burnley, got Tuesday Dortmund, Saturday Burnley, Wednesday Frankfurt, Sunday Man City, and then you have a week off. I can't see them sacking him now when you have 4 games back to back in now until the 1st of Feb. Like, it's not going to happen. It's not. I'm sorry to break it to you guys. I don't think it's going to happen. And behind closed doors, I think that they do want to sign players. I think that they probably want to sign 2 more players. Realistically, we're probably only going to get 1. And realistically, what we need is 4. 2 is already not enough. I know we've brought in Gallagher. But 2 more players is not enough. 3 players is not enough. And I know January is a tough transfer window. It is a tough transfer window because it's mid-season. And the only players that are going to come to you are players that are not currently playing that want to get in their in their World Cup squads. Because if they're already playing first team football, why would they come to this chaos? Maybe for money. And we compete, monetary-wise we compete. People are saying we don't spend money. We've spent 900 million since 2020. 900 million we have spent. Almost 1 billion. Maybe that doesn't compete with Chelsea. But we are buying players. The problem is we keep buying different players for different systems. How many managers have we had since 2020? 4? 5? Probably about 5. So it doesn't matter if you spend 900 million, because if you're investing it in the wrong place and the strategy changes, you're not building. That is not what building is. Building is when you continuously develop on what you already have. We started from scratch at this year when we got rid of Levy. And maybe we should have been careful what we hoped for. Maybe we didn't realise how good we had it. And hindsight is a wonderful thing. But unfortunately, we're not going to know that for another few seasons. This is a long ball game. This is the long game. When you look at competing and winning, right? And I've said this before, I say this as a transformational coach. Nothing happens overnight without doing the background work first. When you have that moment where everything clicks, it's like Andrew's saying, and look, I think that guy had some kind of mindset coaching, because he spoke about, what was it, the Stonecutter's Creed, where like you can hit the rock 1,000 times and then that 1,001th time it just breaks open, but you don't know when that time is going to be. You don't know when things are going to click. You don't know when that's going to happen. You just have to pursue with it until you get that aha moment and you're like, that's what we should have been doing. I see it now. I see it so clearly. And when you look at all of the teams that have won the Premier League, not even the Premier League, any league, maybe bar Slot, but let's be honest, Slot had Klopp's team last year, right? Any team that wins has had a period of stability whilst they're winning it or before it. They have stability. They have a core identity. They know who they are. They play with confidence. They don't play with flair like we've got, but unfortunately at the moment we have no flair players. We used to be a team that loved having flair on the pitch. Your Dele Allis, your Bales, even your Lennons and your Defoes of this world. And then of course we have your Kanes and your Sons, and look, we're going to miss them for years, but we don't have that flair. Mickey, God bless him, please stay. Please don't leave us. Because we know what's coming when the minute he gets on that World Cup stage. I'm convinced the guy's already got offers anyway, you know. There's a reason why he hasn't renewed his contract. How they even got Romero to renew his contract. There must have been some kind of agreement behind the scenes that they were going to kick on. So what have they been doing from September until now? Why have they not brought in players? I can see the argument that January is a tough window. But I also don't believe that you're in this position again. How can you not learn from the same mistakes over and over again? First sign of insanity. It's the first sign of insanity. So let's say we keep Frank. Let's just humour me. Just humour me. Okay, Spurs from the stands. Humour me. Let's say we keep Frank. What happens? We lose against Burnley. We probably drop points in the Champions League. I don't know if we lose both of those games that we actually do qualify. I think we need at least 2 draws to even get in the mix to get to the knockouts. And then we see out the season and we finish 15th. That would not be success. So how do you give the guy the best chance of success? Let's not look beyond that summer transfer window. Let's say that the objective is just this season to fight for survival. Then you still need to give him the tools. There is no way out of this for Enoch. You have to buy players. And for you guys that want Thomas Frank out right now, you get in another manager. And people are saying, who do you want to be the manager? I don't have the answer to that question. And a lot of you that are saying that don't have the answer. But let's just say, for an instance, that you get in a new manager. What changes? What changes? Nothing is going to change because the players on the pitch are still the same. Vicario should have been stronger at the end of that game, as my dad was saying in the video. You go for the ball, and at very least, you get a foul, and it's not a goal. But no, it's another mistake. It's more mess at the back, as is this whole club riddled with. So you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. You're damned if you keep the manager, and you're damned if you sack him. You are fighting a relegation battle either way you spin it. And we tried to cut corners. Winning the Europa was one of the best days of my life, but we cut corners to get to the Champions League. And you cannot cut corners in life. Lesson for life 101, you can't cut corners. You have to go through the pain of rebuilding to create the stability, to create an environment that is cohesive, that is fully aligned and authentic with the identity of this club. That takes years to build. And unfortunately, as amazing as that night was and amazing as the trophy was, we cut the corner to get into the Champions League and we weren't ready for it. And this is the fallout. This is the fallout of that happening. Because we didn't kick on when we could have. Forget standing on the shoulders of giants. These players could have already become the giants. But unfortunately, we cut off our nose. We cut off our nose to spite our face. Is that the saying? Coming up with all these sayings. I think that's what it is. So, how can you expect to kick on and develop and stay in the Premier League and compete on all fronts? And the other thing in all of this mix, right, is the fact that we lost a lot of footballing heads at the top of this club. With all the change in the back room, the boardroom, Levy, etc., we lost a lot of footballing heads. The Lewis family, they're not footballing people, they are business people. And you can say that they're two separate entities, the footballing side and the footballing side, and they don't care about the footballing side and that they should sell the club. However, unfortunately, as I've said before, nothing works in isolation. Nothing works in isolation. Because if you go out to the market tomorrow and you put Tottenham Hotspur up for sale, you're going to lose money. Because right now, where the market is, it's underperforming. And that is a fantastic opportunity for someone to come in and swoop up and buy this club. From a buyer's point of view, when stocks are down, that is the time to buy in. However, as a seller, it's not the right time to sell. And I personally, this is just my personal opinion, I don't think the club is going to put it up for sale because I don't think they're going to get what they want. They're going to wait it out. They're going to ride the wave. They are. I say they are as if I know they are, but it just, in my head, it makes sense. Because just logically, if you think your valuation is at 5 billion, and now this season, that's because we're in Champions League, and next year if we finish this season in 17th, or even worse than that, we get relegated. The club's not even worth half of that. So that's just wiped off instantly. So either way you spin it. So you might as well back the manager. We've come back round full circle because there's no way out of it. There's no way out. What other way is there? What other way is there? You can hold off, sign club signings rather than managerial signings or whatever that nonsense is about. If a player's a good player and they like the manager, you're going to get the best out of them. They're going to want to play with you. If they like their teammates, if they start clicking, and we know as well that it takes time for players to bed in. And like anything in life, you keep doing something. It's progress over perfection. Every time you get up, you go out there, it's progress over perfection. We're not seeing the progress. And at some point, the failures become the muscle memory. So your muscle memory is defaulted to that failure. And it is such a rut. This spiral is so deep to unpack. It's so deep. Like, I've seen some things in my time, but this is like a league of its own. I can't even compare this to any other club, because you can't compare this to West Ham. We are bigger than West Ham. And West Ham have been down more recently than us. Look, we've been relegated in history, okay? But they have been relegated in more recent history than us. But our club is bigger than theirs. There is nothing comparable to this situation that we're in. You could say maybe Man United is similar, but they're buying players. They had their manager bounce. We don't know how that's going to transpire, but we play them in February. We play them next month. So time is only going to tell. I don't know if this video offered anyone whatsoever any consolation. I don't know if I'm calling for Frank's head or not. I said, over a week ago, I needed more convincing. I don't need any more convincing that this guy's the guy, right? I don't think he is the guy. But am I going to call for his head at this moment in time, given everything else that's going on? It's like you go to work and like you hate your job, and so you underperform at your job, and you just don't want to do well because you just want to get fired. I feel like that's what these players are doing. They're just like going out there and they're like, yeah, whatever. We get booed, but we know on the inside what's really going on, Something fishy's gone on, Mistakes from the inside out, top to bottom. And until you fix the rotten core of the apple, it's like a disease that's going to spread. And it's already spread. It spread to the entire stadium last night. This channel already is global. And it's spreading over there as well, It's unbelievable. So, I guess we kick on. We march on. Because that's all we can do. You love the club. You feel for the club. We hold them to this standard because we demand better. We want better. We want to be entertained. That is what sport is about. At the end of the day, that's why we go to games. We want to be entertained. We want to go to a show. And that for those 90 minutes, you're never gonna have the privilege or the luxury of seeing those 90 minutes again. But watching these 90 minutes at the moment, it's not a privilege. It's torture. It's absolute torture. And I know I see the light-hearted side of it, but, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. So, challenging day at the office, to say the least. I reckon there's lots of conversations going on back end. I hope some of those conversations, rather than who can we bring in as the new manager, are more like, guys, we have just over 1 week left of the transfer window. And you know what? It doesn't matter who the manager is when it closes, when those doors close at the end of the month, we still need 11 players to play in 2 competitions. And with Ben Davies going down, and with potentially Gray, and I don't even want to go through the list of our injuries. Because we can't swap that Champions League squad until that group stage is over. So for the next, to the 1st of April, so what we now, 18th of Jan. 9 days, 4 games. Is that right? That can't be right. 9 games. 4 games in 9 days. 1, 3. Hold on. I'm going to check this out. Okay. It's 4 games in 12 days. We have 4 games in 12 days. That's excluding the one yesterday. So including the game yesterday, it would be 5 games. 5 games in 16 days. 5 games in 16 days, people. The pressure, the turnover, the toxicity of this club. We are so thin on the ground. It does not matter whether you bring in a manager tomorrow. If you do not get bodies who are ready to play for that Burnley game, because you can't, as I said, as I keep saying it, you can't get any players in for that Champions League squad. So the only thing you can do is get players in for Burnley and City. And then the window closes. But you have to relieve some pressure off of the team. You're in self-destruct mode. You press the self-destruct button. That's what's happening. Anyway, look, I could keep this rant going. So let's pull the brakes. Let's see what happens. Fingers crossed we buy some players. Frank in, Frank out. I don't know. I don't even know if I care anymore because I'm immune to this manager conversation. All I want to see is a good game of football. I don't care about the politics. I'm a football fan. I love watching football. And it's just devastating to see the state of this club. Chin up, guys. We march on. 2 days until the next game. We'll see what happens.